It's the Hook Podcast, episode number 5, and we have an awesome guest today who has written multiple songs that you know, and just to name a few, FGL, Colorado, FGL, Talk You Out of It, a little number 1 called I Don't Know About You by Chris Lane, and many more. It's going to be a very awesome episode, and I'm super excited to have Hunter Phelps on the show today, and I think that KJ is also very, very stoked right now.
Very excited about to dig into the stories of how some of these songs have come to life and the relationships that Hunter's been able to build through, the course of his career, because he's met some pretty awesome writers that he's teamed up with over the years. So it'll be cool to dig into that and find out exactly how that all came to life.
And we haven't even talked about the 2 singles that he's got on country radio right now, Chase Rice, Drinking Beer, Talking God, Amen, which we talked about in episode 1. Yeah. And the new Jameson Rogers, Luke Combs, Cold Beer, Call My Name. I'm super excited to dive in with Hunter.
That's awesome. Also, for anybody who's new to checking out the podcast, make sure that you follow us on all the streaming platforms, whether that's Spotify, Apple, iTunes, podcast, or, all of the streaming channels, as well as all the social platforms. We're everywhere. We're trying to do all of it. So find us anywhere, like us, ring the bell on YouTube. Make sure you stay up to date with our stuff. And don't forget to go onto Spotify and find the Hook Podcast playlist, because it is hands down the best playlist on Spotify.
I'd agree. I added a couple more things to it this morning.
There you go. I'll throw it up against any genre too now. I'm done with country. We got the best playlist around.
And it's not one of those Spotify built playlists. We are specifically building the playlist, mostly KJ. We're texting songs back and forth to each other every day, basically. And we're building this playlist by ourselves with stuff we talked about on the podcast, with artists and writers that we've talked about on the podcast. And nobody tells us what to do. So we get to play whatever we want.
There's songs we just like and that we think are good and that we think you should hear. So go listen.
Awesome. Let's get into it with Hunter Phelps on the Hook Podcast. Episode 5 of the Hook Podcast. And boy, do we got a good one for you today. We're bringing on somebody who has multiple songs that you know. And we're lucky enough to have Hunter Phelps on today. How's it going, man?
Good. How are y'all?
Doing great. Thank you.
So far, so good. It's like 70 degrees and sunny right now in the middle of December.
Dang. It's it was frost on the ground here this morning in Nashville.
Dang.
Yep.
Holy cow. Yeah.
It usually starts off like that in the morning here, and then by afternoon it's nice. Yeah. It's crazy. People think in Denver that it's always cold, and it's not. That's a lie.
Well, the one time that I was there, it was freezing the entire time.
That happens too, though.
Yeah, for sure.
That happens too. And it depends on what time you're here, but this isn't Minnesota, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've only been there. Tell us
about what's that? Sorry,
I said I've only been there one time actually, and it was probably mid January, so it was
cold.
Yeah,
and we went to the top of the mountain, so it was blistering.
That's the coldest time.
Yeah,
January to February is the coldest time here by far.
Yeah,
is that one of those infamous writer retreats? Is that when you were?
Yeah, it is. It was a writer's retreat actually. We went to Winter Park, but not as much writing goes on as goofing off and stuff.
That's what I've heard. I'm pretty sure that
we still write songs, but
I think that was the story that Hardy told us when he was in the building one day, that it's mostly goofing around and a few songs come out of it.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, I think they wrote Rednecker on a trip there.
Yeah, that and maybe God's Country he was talking about. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure that's what he was talking about when he was in the studio. Yeah. He was telling us about that.
Same retreat, actually, just a different year.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Do those retreats build relationships though that help with the writing?
Oh, definitely, dude. Like, there was probably 6 dudes on that retreat that I had never written with before, and and then it's, we had never written, and then we just ended up being friends and drinking and hanging out and skiing, snowboarding down a mountain together. And then now I write with them all the time. So, I mean, a lot comes out of just hanging out with a group of, musicians.
For sure. And you'd say that's how most of your guys' writes start too. Like that first hour or so is just hanging out and catching up basically, right?
Oh, for sure. Yep. Sometimes it's longer than that. If it's your real good buddies.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your upbringing and where you were raised. Tell us about growing up in Niceville. Please don't say it was nice.
So it was pretty neat. No, it was awesome. It was good. It's kind of like one of those towns that's in the middle of everything. So like north of us, there's 400,000 acres of like military reservation base. It's all woods. So there's like all of the woods, to the north, and then to the south we had Destin, and in between Destin and us, there's like bayous and bays and stuff. So it's literally like every kind of outdoors thing you can imagine doing in like one spot within awesome. 20 miles of one town. So yeah,
that's awesome. That's where the hunting and the fishing comes into play right there. I'm guessing
that is, man. That's where it all comes from. I actually didn't grow up hunting there. We grew up hunting in like South Alabama, but I mean, we could have hunted there, but we just didn't. Bigger deer,
for sure. Bigger deer.
North.
That's further north. I understand that. Being from South Dakota, it's like everybody goes West River for their big deer. So
yeah, and it's kind of nobody really wants to hunt in their hometown. It's like the whole part of the thing is like getting out of town and going to a camp and drinking whiskey around a fire and stuff.
That's awesome about being here.
Yeah,
we used to go up to the mountains, go deep in the mountains, go big elk hunting.
Oh, really?
That was crazy because you'd be camping in the middle of the wilderness, and I mean, you hear everything, you feel everything. It's awesome.
Yeah, I've never elk hunted, but that seems pretty intense.
It's you would think that that they're so big, they're like horses, right? They're huge. Mm-hmm. So you would think they'd be easy to kind of hear wrestling around. They're the smartest animals you can ever imagine. You could literally be standing right next to them and not even know it. Unless you smell them. That's the only way.
Yep.
That's so crazy. I've been near an elk one time, deer hunting, actually. I came around a corner, heard something wrestling, looked up, and a whole family of elk headed up the hill. I was like, well, that's not what I'm after.
Wish you had attacked, though.
Yeah, exactly. At that moment, I'm like, dang.
Zero things to do if I saw an elk in the woods. Wouldn't have no idea. It'd be so foreign.
Right.
For me.
It's like people in Montana who are like, yeah, there's bears that just roll up on our driveway, take our trash. That happens here a lot too in Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I read somewhere that your dad owned a recording studio.
He didn't own well, I guess he did. It wasn't like one that we would take other people in and record them or anything. Yeah. It was kind of just it was just for us. He was he wrote songs too. When I was younger, that's how I kind of got into knowing that people even wrote songs as my dad, or people even wrote songs for other people, is because my dad would talk about, this guy wrote this song for whoever. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that's how it worked. But yeah, he'd probably written, I don't know, probably 100 or 200 songs. I don't know. Wow. And so I just grew up around that and hearing his songs, and, everybody wants to be like their dad. So I got a guitar when I was 18 years old. I started playing when I was about 12, but I got one when I was 18, and, started strumming and stuff, and got kind of out of my shell from alcohol and stuff in college and started writing songs, and just wrote one day, and I was like, man, that was awesome. And I played it for some folks, and they're like, that's pretty good. Nobody was like flipping out or anything. They're like, it's not the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah.
How many songs do you think it took before you were like, okay, this one is one I actually want to show people?
I don't know. Probably if I look back on songs, one that I would still play now if I was playing a writer's round or something like that would be, I don't know, probably like 70s, 80s, somewhere in there.
Okay. So it wasn't like an immediate thing. I always think back to people who talk about when they started in like stand-up comedy and they go to their first open mic and they kill it with their 3 jokes and they're like, I'm going to have a Netflix special. I always wonder how many songs it does take before you're like, okay, I feel comfortable enough that this is okay. And now I'm going to show somebody.
Yeah. I mean, I was showing people the whole time, but I just didn't really. Nashville will teach you a lot about songwriting. I thought I was, I got to town thinking I was really good and thinking it was just going to be kind of easy, honestly. And like the first couple writers' nights I went to and first couple of like pitch to publishers and stuff, I heard, 10 songs within the first week that beat anything that I had. And these people didn't have deals or anything. And I was like, oh shit, like this just got real. Like I need to step it up big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that for sure. What was the deciding factor for you then at that point going, okay, I am going to make that move?
As far as just like committing to Nashville.
Like committing to coming to Nashville, like going to Nashville. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is I actually committed to Nashville before I'd ever been. Like I rolled up and just like looked at a house, looked at like 2 houses, found one that they're like, yeah, you can move in whenever. And I was like, cool, here's money. I'll be back in like 2 weeks. So that's kind of how it started. Really. I'd never even been to Nashville before.
What did you think? What were your thoughts going into it? Cause if you've never been there.
I just knew that Nashville is where you had to be if you wanted to, have anything to do with country music. So,
and you wanted the right country.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, my dog's in here.
You're good. We're a dog friendly show.
Is that what your dad played? Did he play country?
Yeah, he did.
Influence comes from.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. My bad. Sorry, my dog distracted me.
No,
I forgot where we were going. Oh, so as far as like moving to town and stuff, I put a down payment on, or I put down a deposit on a place, and I just came to Nashville and started Googling like Music Row and stuff, and ended up like pulling down Music Row. Have y'all been on Music Row before?
Yeah.
So the statues, you haven't?
No.
So the big like statue thing that's like all the naked people like dancing, like in the center. Well, that's the first thing I like rolled up on, and I was like, and I was thinking, I don't know, I was just thinking I would see like a statue of like Johnny Cash or something, and I pull up and I'm like, this is the spot, huh? Like this is where it all goes down. But anyways, I just kind of rode around and then stumbled downtown, like just from riding around in my truck, and saw the honky tonks, and I was like, what is this place? This is kind of a crazy story. This was kind of nuts doing all this, but so I like parked and put like $5 worth of quarters in one of the meters downtown, and ended up walking down to Tootsie's, and just like, it was like 2:00 in the afternoon, and having some beers and watching the band that was playing. And like as they were like changing over shifts, I asked one of the people, like, do you guys make like money doing this, like good money? And they were like, they didn't say like you make really good money, but they were like, you can make a pretty decent living down here. I was like, cool. I was like, how do I get a job down here? And they're like, just show up on Saturdays from 2 to 6, and you can sing in the back room with the house band. And if they like you, they might like give you a show or something at one of the other bars. So I showed up on Saturday and ended up singing like 3 songs, like 3 covers or something with the band. And the guy that was playing bass actually was the guy that books a lot of the bars down there, and he like gave me a gig instantly. And I was literally about to start working for UPS, like loading trucks or something like that week. And I got the job playing downtown, and ended up, you can actually make really good money down there. So anybody who says you can't, they must have a really bad gig, because you can make great money downtown.
Where was the spot to make the best money?
Shoot, it's been a long time now, but I mean, I played Tootsie's back room for like 4 years, and we did fun. We did great back there. I mean, I didn't have another job the whole time I was in Nashville. I just played Tootsie's and then wrote songs 4 days a week.
That's so crazy to think about, that you didn't have to have another job, and you scored a gig basically like week 1.
Yeah. It was pretty nuts, dude. It was pretty lucky. And I remember my first gig, it was actually just acoustic at Honky Tonk Central. And I made like $55, I think, in like 4 hours. And I was like, I'm about to be rich. Like, I'm freaking about to clean house down here. I thought it was like awesome money, but then I ended up getting better gigs and stuff, and, making over $100 a gig.
So how long did it take from when you started playing the back room at Tootsie's to when you were starting to kind of get into rooms or just get into rights in general?
The crazy thing is, like, I got pretty lucky moving to town, I guess. I Googled like writers rounds when I got to town and found the Commodore, Bluebird, a bunch of different places. So I went to the Bluebird and the Commodore first. And I met a guy named Cameron at the Commodore. And it's funny that we already talked about deer hunting, but I just like asked him. I'd met him somewhere else too, so it was like the second time I'd seen him, and I was just like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, got to talking, and I was like, "Do you deer hunt?" And he was like, "No, my buddy Jameson does though." And anyways, he introduced me to a guy named Jameson Rogers. I'm sure y'all know who he is.
Yep.
And so I met Jameson like really early on, like probably my second week in town, and luckily I was playing at that writers round that night, and I played like one or two songs or something like that, and he ended up thinking they were decent, and he'd already been in town for 2 years. So I started writing with Jameson right off the bat, like right when I got to town. So he kind of already like, he was way better at the craft of songwriting than I was, like when I first met him. So I got to like, you know, kind of jump ahead of the class that I should have been in, like the brand new class or whatever. And I would be like, "Oh, what about this?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, that's pretty cool. What if you do this?" And I was like, "Oh, that's way better." You know, so
yeah,
I mean, it was
the tricks of the trade right away without having to really have to cut your teeth super hard like everybody else was.
Right. Yep.
That's Who else do you play with that you were coming up with on when you were gigging on Broadway?
Who did I play with downtown?
Yeah, that you still play with today besides Jameson. Who else is in that camp of people that you came up with?
Jameson actually didn't. It's kind of two separate things, honestly. Like the writers round stuff and then Broadway, they're kind of two separate. Most of the Broadway stuff is all cover. So like when I was playing Broadway, it was every song on the radio.
Sure.
Just covering stuff. And then the writers round stuff is more, it's all original actually. And that's where I met Jameson, was on the writers round stuff. He didn't do the cover band stuff like I did, but some of the people I met downtown
that are like still around.
Yeah. A guy named Drew Green. We both played the back room at Tootsie's actually, this for the same amount of time. And he just got have y'all heard the song Colorado by FGL?
Yes. Yep.
We wrote that song together with Hardy. And so Drew he signed a publishing deal probably 2 years ago. And then he just signed a record deal actually with Sony. So he's been dropping some music too. So that's I met Drew down there. I know I'm gonna get cussed by somebody for not remembering, but Drew's still like one of my best buds. So, I mean, him for sure. I met Hardy through Jameson at Tin Roof downtown for like a viewing party or something like that. And, I mean, as far as like playing music and meeting folks, it was probably mostly songwriters, not a lot of artists that I can remember.
Do you think that's a tough path to come up through playing the covers like that and being, really, a hired musician to come up that way? Do you really have to have the writing room stuff as well to be able to really make progress? Like if somebody was coming to Nashville for the first time and they weren't sure where to go, what direction would you send them based on what you went through?
Man, there's so many different ways you can do it. I feel like I really had a blast doing it the way that I did it. So if you want to have a lot of fun and if you're trying to be an artist and not just a songwriter, it's really good batting practice to be downtown and playing those covers, because I learned a lot just from playing those hits. Like you learn so much if you're playing, somebody else's hits for a crowd. You're like watching the crowd and you're like, oh, they're singing here. Why did they love that part? You know what I mean? And then you get to the writer's room later that week and you're like, we need to do something like I promise you this will work. Like I've seen this work. Like this, if we do something like this right here, like a stop right here or, anything like that, like people are going to like that. So, I mean, it's more than just down there playing covers for money. You learn a lot from being down there. And I would say, I don't know, do that. If you want to do that, if you want to learn 250 cover songs, if you have the time to do that, you can make a lot of money and have a lot of fun. And then, get to write songs for 4 days a week.
Awesome.
That is such a crazy number of songs too. Like,
it was pretty. I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, I don't even know if I remember any of them.
I was just about to ask you that. How many of those could you still play?
Dude, I have no idea. If I had like 3 shots of Jack Daniels and a full band behind me where I didn't have to play anything, I could probably walk around with a microphone and fake it through most of them still. But man, I don't know if it's just nuts. It was just muscle memory back then.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So while you're playing on Broadway, you put out the EP, the first EP. What was that whole process like, going from being the cover guy and writing to then putting out the EP?
I mean, are you talking about the EP that I actually released? Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, like the first
text and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy because I feel like people go to downtown Nashville. It's kind of like the Disney World of country music, I guess.
Yes.
So you're kind of just like, I don't know, like people aren't going there to discover an artist or anything really.
Yeah.
Is what it feels like, because they're kind of just going in and out of the bars. Like nobody's staying there and committing to, one band. Like everybody wants to see every bar and drink a beer everywhere and get a koozie everywhere. But so I mean, as far as that goes, I didn't promote myself as an artist downtown really. I just played covers and entertained and paid the bills down there. I didn't really make the show about me, because usually you're splitting the show with a girl singer, or like a guy would be splitting the show with a girl singer, and you're going back and forth, trading off on songs and stuff. So it's not technically your show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just kind of helping each other out so you don't blow your voices out.
Yeah, for sure. And then when did you decide, okay, was the goal when you came to town to be an artist, or was it just to be a writer and the artist thing kind of happened?
Definitely came to town to be a writer. Like that was the one thing that I was like the most excited about. I honestly didn't even really know. It's kind of crazy because you record on like terrible equipment when you're in college and all that stuff. And you're like, I'm definitely not that good. Like I'm not a very good singer. But most of it's like, you don't know how to sing on a microphone. You don't know what you're doing when you record it, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I came to town with the goal to write songs, and then I went downtown that day. Honestly, it kind of sparked it. And I was like, man, like I can do this for sure. Like what all these guys are doing. And downtown is really the reason that I chased the artist thing. So just because
it just gave you the confidence on stage, and just to know that you could be that front man on a stage, kind of transition yourself from the thought of being a writer and just focused on that to, wow, like I could actually be in the front and do this and put on a show.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So when it comes to picking songs, then at that point, you've been in town for how long before you put the whole EP out?
I've been in town, man, I don't even remember. I think it was 2009. No. 2017, September 2017 when I so I'd been in town. Gosh dang, is that right? Let me look real quick. It's been, I feel
Time
like
flies, man. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yep. Let's see here. The pink and blue picture. Here it is.
That's how I first.
16.
Okay,
So-
2016.
So 4 years, from the time I moved to town to releasing my first song.
And
like
what
Spotify and all that stuff.
what came first, your pub deal or you releasing the first like official Hunter Phelps Spotify song?
Quit. Jeez, can y'all hear that? Is that annoying? It was I got a pub deal after 2 years of being in town. I actually cut an EP that I never released.
Okay.
After probably a year and a half of being in town, I'd written probably 100 songs or something, and like picked 4 of them and just went ahead and spent the money on it. And this is all like Tootsie's money too. You know, I'm like paying cash for these songs. Like I just remember playing a couple songs for people and I'm like, I'm pretty sure these are really good. And then not getting the reaction I wanted. And I was like, okay, I'm going to the studio and recording these songs. Anyways, I recorded them. And I sent them to my rep at ASCAP, and he heard them and hit me up like the next day and was like, dude, like I can get you a deal with these. Like come into my office, let's meet. So, I mean, I met with him. This was right at 2 years in town. I met with him and he said, I think I can get you a deal with these songs. Like if you could write with anybody in town tomorrow, who would it be? And I said Ashley Gorley, and he like turned around in his chair and sent all the songs to Gorley, and Gorley hit me up like the next day and was like, dude, let's go get breakfast. And he was just like, I just want to see if you're cool. I think the songs are awesome. Don't be surprised if I don't sign you in like the next week or two. And I was like,
wow.
What? Like I just went 2 years with nothing. And now I got like the dude that's like blowing up as a songwriter just had like 8 in a row or something like that. And he's like saying, I'm going to get a deal. So it's pretty nuts, man.
And you hit with Ashley like right in the middle of him blowing up too.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of all the Carrie stuff. He had what 3 or 4 in a row with Luke Bryan. Like,
yeah,
you were in the right place at the right time when it came to the Ashley Gorley train for sure.
It was, man. And the reason I liked Ashley is because a Jake Owen record, the Jake Owen record called Days of Gold.
Yeah.
Y'all listen to that entire record. It's got like so many smashes on it. Like it just has hit after hit. And I was looking at the credits of that record and I kept seeing Ashley Gorley's name. And I was just like, who is this? And I looked him up and became a fan really fast. And then I saw his name on 100 other songs too. And it was just like, man, this dude's freaking on something right now. So it was just all perfect, man. It couldn't have happened any better than it did.
How does that translate to, fast forward in time to now and where you are and what you learned from him and being with somebody that you looked up to and inspired that's hitting in that moment? And now fast forward, here you are and you're hitting. I feel like, honestly, like it feels like sometimes everything that you touch is just really just taken off. I think you have a certain way that your influence is really dictating which way country music is going right now. So how did that prepare you for today working with him?
Man, that's crazy. I've never even thought of it like that. But I mean, Ashley's a really good teacher. So like, I know, like, even when we were first meeting and talking and stuff, he was like, I want to teach you like he was like, right now I bet you think you have a lot of good songs right now. He's like, one day, like 4 years from now, I'm going to hit you up. I'm going to text you and I'm going to be like, hey, send me a #1 hit for Jason Aldean. Like, I remember this conversation. And he was like, and you're not going to know what to send me. And I was like, no, like I could send you songs right now. He was like, no, 4 years from now, I could text you and be like, send me Jason Aldean's next hit that you have. And you're not going to know what song to send. And you're not going to, like, you're going to be scrambling to write that song. And he's exactly right. Like you get that text now, they're like, hey, this dude's looking for a blank. Like, and you're like, oh gosh, dang it. Like, I don't know if I have anything good enough, but no, he's a great mentor. He's not afraid to tell me or anybody else whenever the song is like mediocre or when it's sucks or when it's completely wrong or when it's great. You know what I mean? Which is so rare. When he says they're great, you're like, okay, we did something good here.
Yeah, for sure. Was he part of the process of when you decided to put out, those 6 songs? Was he part of the process of, okay, these are Hunter Phelps songs, these are songs we're pitching to other people?
Yeah. He's always been a part of that process as far as picking songs. I mean, even still, like we talk about it, whenever I turn a song in that I really like, I'm like, hey, I'd cut this if nobody else, wants to cut it like tomorrow. And he's like, cool. That sounds like you or, actually he doesn't even say that anymore. He used to kind of say that, but now he's just like, yeah, do it. I mean, if you like it, just keep it. Like, don't even worry about it. But we still talk all the time. I mean, I was over at his house like 3 days ago, just like
that's awesome,
talking crap. But
it's so nice to have a mentor through a process like that, somebody that you can lean on and trust to get validation that's legit, because there's so many people out there that probably blow smoke, right? Like everybody, wants to tell you that it's good and that they don't, but to have somebody that can keep it real and tell you that, I mean, that's huge. I know just in my, my experience doing this kind of stuff, I've had people who've kept it real with me, and I know what that's done for me. So I can only imagine as a songwriter how important that is, because I can imagine it's really competitive, and even though you're friends and you have a lot of people in your circle that support you, there's probably also a lot of people who want to take your spot too, because they want the next number one. So, that's nice.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. So now you're on a publishing deal. You're working with Ashley. You've put your stuff out. So what is the first cut that you get? Like, what's the first, even just an album cut, and you go, okay, finally, I got one.
So my first cut was a song called Wish You Were On It. I think it was maybe a year, dude. I don't even know. It was so long ago now. A year probably into my publishing deal. So year 3 in town. And, a song called Wish You're On It. I wrote it with 3 other guys that had never had a cut. Jameson Rogers was one of them. Smith Onquist, who's written a whole bunch of songs for people. And Will Weatherly, who's written a whole bunch of songs for people now as well. But that was all of our first cut. It was actually, Keith Urban had it on hold for months and months and months. And Will sent it to FGL when they were cutting for Dig Your Roots record, and they flipped. They loved it. They're like, we'll cut this tomorrow, but it was on hold for Keith. So, they couldn't hold it until Keith let it go. So I think somebody reached out to Keith and was like, hey man, how serious are you about this song? And he was like, I'll take it off hold if they'll cut it like the next day. And he took it off hold and they cut it the next day. So it was pretty insane. It was like, for a first, and this is also crazy. I cut Wish You Were On It the exact same day that they cut Wish You Were On It.
That's how I found out about you, was because of your version. Yeah. So my girlfriend, or now fiance, she does these Spotify deep dives because she's a songwriter herself, and she came across you and your version. And I love the line of, there's a parking spot under the sycamore. And I don't know why, but it has something to do with the way that you say it and that Tyler says it in the FGL record. And she's like, hey, do you know the song? And I was like, yeah, but who's singing it? And that's how I came across you, well before I knew that you had written it. Yeah.
That's nuts, dude. Yeah. It was just crazy that we both cut it on the exact same day.
That is crazy.
And we were like in the studio cutting my first EP, and then got a text saying FGL just cut one of your songs that you just cut too. So, I mean, it was like, we were already celebrating, and then we just got like the cherry on top that day. So it was a cool day.
Do you remember, just to go back and think about writing for those records and, writing with FGL? What is that like for you to get on with guys like that who are just, I mean, gosh, it just seems like they just took off so fast. They went from, one song to being the biggest act in country music. It's just rare. It seems like most artists kind of build their way up. So to get on with guys that have seen the pinnacle and be able to be in that, what did you learn from that? What was important for you to take away from that, especially moving forward with the stuff you're doing now and, solo stuff?
Man, it was crazy. They started the Tree Vibes bus. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Did you ever see that?
Yes.
So they were the first, the first big artist that I had.
Wow.
And, I thought I was going to have, but I got to go out on the Tree Vibes bus, and I was just like, I was nervous as shit. This was still like, I was in like mega fan mode. Like, I'd never been like backstage at shows or done any of that stuff. So like the first time I go out on a bus and like write songs on the road, it's with the Tree Vibes guys, and we're following around the Dig Your Roots tour, and it was just nuts. I mean, it was like it was mind blowing. I couldn't believe I was even out there like hanging out, and I was like, dude, I think I'm doing this right now. And I don't know if any songs came of that trip. I don't think that anything really happened, but I mean, we wrote, and it was just crazy to be around those dudes and learn from them. And I mean, they work hard as crap. They never stopped out there. I remember appreciating how hard they worked while they were out there, like every minute of the day, from working out to writing songs to playing the show, then as soon as the show's over, getting back on the bus and listening to the songs, it's just like, oh, dang, you got to step it up a notch for keeping up with these dudes.
Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know that's listening, the Tree Vibes bus was, I think that was my first experience knowing anybody who was bringing out a separate bus, which is not cheap. And then they're bringing out, how many guys were on that bus with you guys at that point? Like when you were out?
It would usually be 6 of us riding the bus, and then we would all it would be a 4-way rights in the front and then the back of the bus. Yeah. So Tyler and BK would like split up or be in the same room. We would just like rotate for different 4 ways.
Yeah. And then you guys are writing songs basically during the day while everything's getting set up. Then they go play a show and then they come back and listen to what you guys have just demoed in the back lounge or in the front lounge of the bus. Was there anybody who you still write with today that was on that first experience of being on the road with those guys?
Yeah. Every one of them. Justin Wilson, he's had hits. He's had a lot of hits. Mark Hallman, he wrote Simple. He's got Cole's Single Saturday Night right now. Dave Pittinger. There's somebody I'm not thinking of on that first run. Actually, no. What it was one of their bandmates was signed to their publishing company. He was writing with us too. So that was it. That was our first crew going out. Me, Hallman, Justin Wilson, and Dave Pittinger.
That's awesome. So going back to then the Dig Your Roots record. So you're out on the Dig Your Roots tour. The first single off that record, I'm pretty sure, was Holy, which was ginormous. And then they put out May We All. And then was there a thought there that you might get that next push, that Wish You Were On It might be that next single push?
Oh, definitely. I mean, once your first cut, you're like,
you think you had a number one on your hands right there.
Yeah. So, I mean, every day we're just like waiting for somebody to just like call us and be like, yeah, you got the single, but it never was. I mean, it probably could have been. I mean, they had a lot of smashes on that record too, though.
I would say that I think that Backstreet Boys, God, Your Mama and Me screwed you guys, because I feel like that would have been a better pick in my book.
I mean, still though, that song was a
smash.
It was
for sure,
and it fit with like Holy and stuff, so it made sense. But yeah, we were always waiting on that call to get for somebody to say, yeah, you're not going to be poor anymore. Congrats.
I always think back to, I heard Brett Young was doing an interview and he said that the day that Sleep Without You at number 1, everybody tells him that's the last 6 months of you being poor. And the day it went number 1, he tried to buy a Diet Coke and every card he had in his wallet got declined.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious, actually. Like, even you have to laugh.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I have a clip. We had the guys from After Midtown on the other day.
Oh gosh.
And they had a few things to say about you, which was kind of funny. Dude. But we thought we'd play this one. We were talking about I don't even remember what the conversation was. I think it was, what song is on the radio now that you go, oh, I wish I wrote that song. And this is what Michael had to say.
All right.
Oh, wait, let's see. It's something that's been on the radio in the last, let's say, 5 years that you go, damn it, I really wish that I would have been a part of that.
Man, for me right now, like off the top of my head, probably Give Heaven Some Hell. Hardy. Love that song, dude. I think it's well written.
That's a great, that's a great one, man.
And then at some point, Michael said that your solo stuff is so good. It reminds him of, I think the quote was, the perfect frat country song.
Yeah,
at one point. And he referred to you as the Asher Roth of country music.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Those guys are fun, man. We got to write, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and I got to the write before they did, and we were just like sitting there chill. I'm a pretty chill dude. Like, I'm, pretty reserved and stuff. So I'm just like sitting there, like me and Elisa Vanderheimer just chatting up, and these dudes like roll in like at 11 o'clock, just like riffing already. Like literally they're just like a walking party when they walk into the room. Like, those dudes are fun as crap.
They were a good time. We had a good time with them the other day. They were
cool.
We were cracking up. When it comes to the stuff that you're cutting, you put out 4 new ones, or 5 new ones technically in the last year and a half or so.
Yeah.
Were any of those things that you think that you could have given away, or is it stuff that immediately as you wrote it, you kept it?
Throwing parties I kept. It's actually kind of funny. I didn't even turn them in until till they got released that day. So one of my publishers actually said, like, I turned it in and I was like, this is, I don't even remember what I said. I was just like, this is cut. Like, don't pitch this. Like the song had already came out. And I can't remember which song it was. It was one of those that I released. And he was like, oh, who cut it? And I was like, I just put it out like today, dude. Like, pay attention to what. This wasn't like a day-to-day guy. This was like kind of a down the email chain thing. But it was funny though. I think Waves got pitched, and Take Me to Heaven got pitched, and then Silverado, Throwing Parties, and You Don't Want Me. I hoarded those. So
I got to go into. So you have some references to Colorado, but you said you've only been here once. So what is it? Is it just that it just fits? And I mean, and tell me about the line in Silverado. It's a bit hazy what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, let's get high on life, yeah, and then Colorado, that was Drew Green's idea. I think he had the line "Drunk up in the Smokies on a Rocky Mountain high," and we were chilling at some bar, drinking beer and eating wings or something. And I was like, I love that. I was like, I know exactly who to call right now. And I text Hardy and I was like, hey, come eat wings and drink beer with us. He was like, cool, yeah. And then he got there and I was like, all right, we're about to go write a song now. Trick you into it. But
we like the references.
Yeah, let's go back to that right then. Since you brought that up, and we were laughing about Silverado earlier. I told KJ, all I've got in my head all day is let's get Colorado'd up in my Silverado truck. And all morning, that's all I've had in my head. So
that's good.
Let's go back to the Colorado right. When you hear that, when you hear that line from Drew Green and you go, I know exactly who to call, and Hardy shows up, then what is the process to it ending up on the radio? Because being a Colorado country station, we played the living crap out of it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, what's nuts is like the song still charts. Like I'll look at the chart and it'll be like 94. I
bet you right now, if I look at it, we've played it at least 10 times this week.
Dude, that's awesome. I mean, what were you saying? Like as far as like getting?
What was the process? Yeah, like what was the process going into it? Once Hardy gets there and you go, hey, now you're here, we got to go write a song, to it ending up on FGO.
Oh yeah. I mean, so we left the bar, like we said the idea and he loved it, instantly. And we went back to the house and wrote it in like 2 or 3 hours. We actually finished the song at about midnight. Hardy went home. I have a weird memory. I remember a lot of stuff from songs for some reason. And he built like a small scratch track for it and like threw the chorus down. I don't think we had the little bridge thing yet. But I remember listening to it and the next morning and going, oh my gosh, like this is freaking, like this is a smash. Like this song's gonna be a big one. And so he finished it out and made it kind of scratchy. It wasn't like in order right. And I think we sat on the song for like 8 months. Like I'm not even kidding. Like didn't even demo it or turn it in or do anything.
Wow.
And then I listened to it. I have this inbox thing in my files folder and like songs, like new demos. Like when I insert a new demo, it's alphabetical order. And after I listen to a demo, like the next song that plays is just a random one that's been sitting in there. So it's probably like one of those things where I clicked on a new demo, listened to the whole thing, and all of a sudden Colorado, the scratch thing comes on and I like start listening to it again. I'm like, this is really good. Like, what are we doing? So I like hit up one of our buddies, Jake Mitchell, and he built a demo out for it. And I went and put a vocal on it. And shoot, this is probably 8 months after we wrote it, and sent it to everybody, and everybody was flipping. And I think Hardy, the first place it got shot was Aldean It was a crazy idea, but Aldean and Kid Rock was somebody's idea. And which would have been crazy. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, you're a genius. Like, please make that happen.
Yeah.
But then, you know, that was just like an idea. I think it got thrown around or something. And then Hardy sent it to, this is when Hardy was out on the Tree Vibes with us a whole bunch. And he sent it to T-Hub and BK, and they loved it. And they put it on hold. And I remember Hardy calling me. This was when we had like no cuts. So anything was like, the biggest deal in the world. And like Hardy hit me up one morning and he was like, dude, I was just like sleeping on the Tree Vibes bus and T-Hub came up here and like slid the curtain back to my bunk and started singing Colorado. Like, he already knows the words, dude. He already knows the words. They're cutting it. And I was like, oh my God, this is insane. But then they cut it and it got released and, you know, they started opening their shows with it. It was awesome.
That's so crazy though. Like, and I feel like that might have been the first like real set of Colorado references.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, it's kind of funny. I definitely am not experienced at Colorado. So any of like the what's the line about the trees? Hemlocks.
Oh yeah.
I was like, what's a hemlock? And they're like, it's fine. Just like, let it go. And I was like, I love it. It sounds great. I was like, but I don't know what a hemlock is. And I think Drew had the Appalachian folks. It was fun. That's not Colorado, but there's a lot of cool words in that one.
How did you and Hardy connect?
We actually met at a Jameson. Me and Jameson have been really good buddies since I got to town. And I remember we were at a viewing party right when we signed our publishing deals, probably the day or the week we signed our publishing deals. Me and Jameson both signed at the same time. And we were at a viewing party for the CMAs downtown at Tin Roof. And we were drinking beer at the bar. And I remember this long-haired dude walked behind us, and Jameson was like, oh, what up, dude? And he introduced me, and it was Hardy. And then Hardy walked off, and he was like, yeah, that dude's from Mississippi too. And that was it. And then we ended up like hanging out at a house party one night, passing a guitar around. And I think that was like the night that like we kind of became a crew. Me and Jameson were over at one of our buddy Brent and CJ's house, or two of our buddies. They were living together at the time. And everybody was kind of passing a guitar around. And everybody in the circle was like playing amazing songs. And like me and James were both kind of like, dude, we got to hang out with these dudes more. Like these guys are legit. Hardy's playing like the saddest song you've ever heard about a dog. And I mean, it was just like, you're like, oh my gosh, these are writers right here. Like we got to freaking write with these guys all the time.
And then out of all of that comes Talk You Out of It, which was you and Hardy and Jameson again,
yep.
And Alyssa Vanderheim, right?
Yep. So Talk You Out of It, it was me, Jameson, and Elisa. And it's kind of funny. We do this all the time. Like Jameson did this to me the other day, but me and Jameson were writing with her, and I had this idea called Talk You Out of It, like with, you know, like where it was going to go and all that stuff. And we were like super fired up on it. And Elisa had that beat like that. Ding, 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 ding. And it was like super swaggy. And Hardy has like incredible flow. So I was like, dude, I'm about to text Hardy right now. This track is like nuts. Like he would smash, his melodies and stuff would smash this track. And so we hit him up and he was like, I'm about to go, I don't know what he was going to do, go catch snakes or something, something super red. And I was like, just come over here. I got this awesome idea. At least got this crazy track. Just come over here for like 2 or 3 hours. He was like, cool. And he got over there and told him my idea. He loved it. We knocked it out in like 3 hours. And actually Elisa sent that one to FGL and they held it. It's kind of a funny story on that too. I was cutting a vocal with her when she got a call from Tyler. Tyler calls her phone while we're cutting a vocal, just me and her. And she like I can tell she's like all nervous, and she's like pacing around the room and stuff like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. And, she gets on the phone and I was like, what was that? She's like, oh, that was T-Hub. He just held one of my songs. And I was like, oh, that's badass. Like, great, cool. So we cut the vocal and then I left. And like 5 minutes after I left, she texts all of us and was like, T-Hub put our song on hold. And she was like, sorry, Hunter, I forgot. That I was just so like he threw me off so hard by calling me. Like I was so like nervous and like whatever that I forgot who wrote the song. And I was like, dude, we could have like celebrated in the room. Yeah. Like high-fived and stuff.
Yeah, break out the champagne.
Yeah, no, it was kind of funny.
And then that one started to climb. I mean, you guys had one under your belts there. Did you think that was going to be it? Did you think you were going to ring the bell there?
I thought I really did. When I first heard the cut, I was like, man, like they absolutely crushed this. So yeah, I had all the confidence in the world in that song. And then when I saw it like kind of slowing down in the 30s, then you got everybody, all the experienced guys in Nashville that have not rung the bell, going, oh, don't get your hopes up too much right now. Like it's not screaming, or like Ashley is the first person to say, oh, it better go like now, or you're going to be in trouble. Like he'll say that to you. So, I mean, but I mean, I really did. I still love that cut. I don't even care about, it's just awesome that they singled it. And it's funny. Like I didn't come to Nashville it never crossed my mind to write number ones. Like it was just like get on the radio, That was kind of the goal. So that kind of came later, I guess. The number one thing is important now though.
Well, let's talk about, I don't know about you.
Yeah.
Do you remember writing that? What was that? I mean, same crew. So
plus your mentor too.
Yep. Yeah. That is kind of crazy. Me and Jameson and Hardy have written a lot of songs. Yeah, I mean that one. That was. I think. Oh, it was cold. I remember. I can't remember exactly when we wrote it, but I remember being late for the write, and I remember Jameson we call him Coach. I don't know if y'all have ever talked to him or any of that, but like that's his nickname with all of us because he's like a baseball coach. His hat's always really low, and he like he like yells at you when you mess up in life and stuff. But we had just eaten breakfast and I was on the way to the write, and this was like the first day of all time where Ashley has been on time for a write. So I usually like plan on being 15 minutes late for writes at Ashley's house. And he texted like 10:50 when we were starting at 11 supposedly, and he was like, I'm ready whenever y'all are. And we were like just wrapping up breakfast. So I was like booking it to his house, and I ended up getting pulled over, and like I'm pulled over on the side of the road, and I can see Jameson's car coming up behind me. And I just like look, and he's like looking over and just like shaking his head. And I was like, there's the old freaking Coach got me. I'm in trouble. But anyways, yeah, I got a speeding ticket on the way to write that one.
Well, and now it paid for it.
I know. I remember pulling up and going, we got to make some money today, boys, like waving around my yellow ticket.
So who came up with the original idea, and what was the original idea of that song after you walked in and go, we need to make some money today, boys?
We actually wrote a different song first. Whenever you write with Ashley, you write from whenever you get there till he has to leave, and however many songs come out, it's just however many songs come out, So we'd already written one before that idea came out. We were throwing around ideas for a second song, and Jameson had that idea. And it was kind of crazy. I think Hardy was just kind of picking on the guitar or something, and like threw out the line, what's your name, what's your sign, what's your birthday, what's your wrist tattoo, Bible verse say? And I was just like, yeah, whatever that is. Just go ahead and freaking hit record on that stuff. And then him and Ashley, watching them two write, it's pretty impressive. They're both super fast. Like it's insane lyrically and melodically and all that stuff. But I don't think we even got an entire chorus done that day. We ended up finishing it a couple of weeks later and then turning it in. Everybody flipped out. It's cool when that happens.
before we get into how it ended up as with Chris Lane, I have another After Midtown clip for you. And this was my absolute favorite of them all in the podcast.
All right.
This is another Michael clip for you.
Yeah.
Bro, so Hunter the other day, so we wrote a song with Hunter the other day that we love. It's called See Her Around. But there's a lyric in it where you're like kind of like repeating yourself twice. And the next day he texted us and he was like, man, should we change this? Like, is this cheesy or not? And like, all I could think about was like, Hunter, girl, I know your favorite beer because you told me and I bought it. So
that's really good. Yeah, he got me. And what's funny is I might have been the one that had something to do with the Chris Lane line. I can't remember exactly how it went down, but I do remember claiming that one time.
So it ends up out in the world. You guys are stoked about it. Who puts it on hold first, or did it immediately go to Chris?
I think it got shot in every direction right when we turned it in. Luke Bryan, I think, got it. Came around, got it. Chris Lane said, I will cut this like now. And, you know, with somebody like Ashley, as you know, that's on the song, he knows when you should do something and what, you know, he just knows, like, he's like, no, if Chris wants to cut it today, like, it doesn't matter what anyone, like, whoever wants to cut it first, like, goes into the studio and cuts it, in my opinion, you know? And that's how it went down. I think a couple people wanted to hold it, but it was just like, well, Chris wants to cut it, so he's going in.
And then you finally ring the bell with that one.
Yeah,
and it was a slow burn too.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember how many weeks it was, but it actually went number one on my birthday. Nice. And I was playing a show in Nashville. I was playing at Marathon. Is that what it's called? Marathon Music Works? Yes. I was playing a Marathon opening for Chase Rice, and it was my birthday that night, and it went number one on my birthday. It's pretty nuts.
Great way to celebrate.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What were you feeling after that? After you found that out, what was? Because
I was feeling pretty drunk. No, it was awesome, man. It was just like, I don't know. There's just so many. It's happened so many times where you just feel like, okay, like I'm on track with, like, everything is happening how it's supposed to be happening. That was just like another one of those moments, you know, where it was all worth it. Even though I've had a really good time working at it. Yeah.
So you said something about Chase there. Now you have two singles that just went for ad day on the same day, which is kind of nuts in itself. It kind of reminds me of the TR thing when TR had like 5 songs in the top 10 in the same week. Yeah. Which was crazy.
Wait, what? What was that?
Yeah. So when TR he had Round Here. Uh-huh. He had, I want to say maybe 1994.
Oh, snap.
It Goes Like was his personal single, and he had 2 more. So he had like 4 or 5 songs in the top 10 in the same exact week for 1 week.
I did not realize that.
And that's immediately what I thought of. And then, you know, you have another one coming out in January to radio with Hardy. And I was just thinking today, man, charts ain't going to be moving for the next couple of weeks. We might get 300 Phelps tracks in the top 5 or the top 10 come, you know, June, July.
Dude, that would be insane. That would be nuts. It's so crazy now. It's just, I don't even I don't know. It's weird. Like, we hardly take time to celebrate. We just work and work and work and work now. We love working, you know? So it is like cool to like, and COVID's kind of screwing that up as far as the celebrating part goes.
For
sure. Yeah, I think soon we're going to have to throw down and realize and just celebrate what's going on for a little while. Cause like, as a crew, like, all of my best buds are doing awesome stuff, and it's nuts, dude. It is. And people are like looking at us for songs, you know, and wanting to book days and like reaching out and stuff. It's just crazy. I never thought that would happen.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
It's really cool, man. Especially a guy like you. You're down to earth and humble, and it's cool to see a guy like you get success like that because, you know, there's enough bad guys getting success. So good for you, man. Tell us a little bit about writing Drink a Beer, Talking God, Amen. Whose idea was that?
That was Chase's idea. We were actually, I think it was the last weekend of the AM/PM tour, and Corey Crowder came out. And I don't know if you guys probably have heard of Corey. He's written a ton of hits, and he came out with
Chase and Kale. Is that who was out on that one?
Yeah. So he rode Kale's bus out with him because him and Kale are super tight. He's produced Kale since the beginning and stuff. And we were just going to write, you know, a song a day for the time we were out there. And the first day we wrote a killer song that maybe he'll cut one day, that we were like, oh man, it's gonna be hard to beat that one. And then the next day we get on the bus and like, it seems like there's no vibe. Like I remember we were all just kind of sitting there and like people were throwing out ideas that we'd all heard from the day before. And we were always like, It was like 30 minutes of, you know, the kind of like nobody's fired up on anything. And then Chase, I guess, like went real deep into his notes and he just said it. He didn't even say like, I have an idea. He was like, drinking beer, talking God. And everybody was like, what is that? And everybody kind of like lit up. And then Corey instantly started like playing a groove and Chase kind of started singing that like very sing-along melody. And yeah, dude, that was one of those songs that you like love writing and you wish could happen every single day because it was like so easy and like everybody knew where to take the song and we didn't have any roadblocks. Like nobody was on different pages. It was just an awesome day. And it was the last day of the tour and we had the demo like cranking on the bus by like 4:30 as the sun was going down. And like all of Chase's crew was on the bus, like randomly like walking by and stuff while we were playing it. And they all kind of stopped and they were like, that's like really good. Like y'all did something really good today. And it was just awesome. It was a perfect way to close the tour out.
And you just knew at that point, basically, like, okay, this is good. And then Chase cutting it, which was cool in itself because he was part of it. And then he adds FGL and trying to capture that cruise magic in a bottle there.
Oh, yeah. It was nuts, too, because I remember Chase, I think it just started, like, just cracked a beer, like, getting pre-show, you know, watching, I think football's on, too, or something. It was, like, one of those awesome afternoons where, like, it was like sunny, but the sun was setting, just cracked a beer. And Chase was like, dude, this should be my next single. Like while we were listening to it on the bus. And I was like, yes, it definitely should be. And,
anytime anybody says that, you're like, yeah.
But yeah, he was like, I remember him talking to Corey about producing it and Corey's producing FGL. And I remember him talking about Corey producing it and how he was definitely cutting it. And then one day, I can't remember where we were. I think it might have been at Chase's house I borrowed Chase's truck for the Silverado, like album art.
Oh yeah. That's
Chase's truck in that. And I was out at his house and he was like, yeah, dude, drinking beer, talking God, it's gonna be awesome. And I know it's drinking beer, talking God, amen, but I use short for every song I feel like. But he was like, yeah, dude, I think FGL is going to be on it with me featured. And I was like, that'd be insane. But I didn't really like, he just like kind of said it like, he didn't say like it's happening. He was like, I think FGL, I might try to get FGL on it or something. And I was like, that would be insane. And then I saw like on Instagram one day that they were in the studio and I could hear T-Hub's voice, like the transition into the verse or whatever. And I was like, oh snap, like they actually did it. Like this is about to be freaking on right now.
That's awesome, man. And you've got the new Jameson Rogers, which has got to be really cool for you going as far back with Jameson as you do, that you guys have this one. And he just rung the bell with Some Girls, which was huge for him, which was a slow burn too. I got to a point where I was like, okay, we're getting there. He's going to get there.
Yeah.
And now you guys have this one. And then you get another A+ superstar in Luke Combs on this one. Like,
dude, how freaking crazy.
And they go on the same day, which is so nuts to me. As the radio guy, I immediately am like, that is so crazy.
Yeah. And they both have beer in the title, which I'm a big fan of beer. So it's like I can write songs about one of my favorite things. And, you know.
Did you get in on any of this Miller Lite that they keep promoting?
No. Why do they have they been like holding out on something?
I don't know. They were in front of a Miller Lite truck the other day on Instagram.
Yeah, I need to hit somebody up about that. I feel like I should get at least a pallet or something.
For
What's
sure.
your beer of choice?
Yeah. My beer of choice. You're gonna laugh, but I mean, I grew up in North Florida, which is like Busch Light territory. So, I mean, I grew up drinking, you know, Busch Light, but I will drink Miller Lite too. Like,
especially if it's free.
I pick Miller Lite at a bar because they usually don't have Busch Light. So,
Do you ever drink craft beer? Are you ever into any of that?
I mean,
Or you keep it simple?
yeah, I keep it simple.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah.
Before
I don't-
we let you go-
Out here, we get into all that. There's so much beer out here
Mm-hmm.
that we get into
Yeah.
all that. But
Yeah,
my
well,
dad,
when it-
he keeps it simple. He's Bud Light all day. That's all he does. It
Yeah.
doesn't change.
I don't know. It's probably just from the heat being around. It's just anything heavier than like the lightest thing when you're out on a boat is just, it's too much for me. So,
That's fair.
yeah.
Before we let you go, you made a comment about the boat. I followed along with your boat journey. I don't know if many people have, but my fiance and I were very invested in the boat journey, and I don't think KJ knows what I'm talking about. But Hunter ended up with a boat that then became a legit boat. Like, it was not a legit boat at first.
Yeah, dude. It's my COVID project.
There you go.
So like whenever everything's shut down, I was like going crazy because I always have to be doing something. And so I started looking on Craigslist for a boat, and I found this like $50 boat that was upside down in a pasture, like covered in weeds and stuff and all beat up. And my dad owned a marine store growing up, and he's basically made me work on all his boats. So I knew how to do everything that I would need to do to make this thing, like bring it back to life. And it took me 2 months and got it looking like a brand new little gym.
Did you catch a fish out of it yet?
No, I'm saving it. I got to get a trolling motor first. I haven't even fished, dude. All I've done is just get a cooler of beer and ride around.
Yeah, you'd have to go back south to get on the lake.
Yep.
Man, we appreciate you jumping on with us. And, there's so many songs, even in our notes as I'm still looking. I mean, we haven't even touched your duet with Hardy and Jameson on the Hicks Tapes record. We haven't talked about any of the new stuff on the new Granger record, or one of my favorite songs, the song you have on Jake's EP, Better in a Bar, which is one of my absolute favorites for
Heck
sure.
Yeah. Heck yeah, dude.
You have to come back.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to do a recap in like a year and see if everything worked out like it's supposed to, or see if I'm happy or sad.
For sure. When
sure it'll be good.
Either way, there's the country song there.
Yeah, for sure.
When you start to climb into the top 10, I'll be hitting you up going, hey man, we talked about the TR thing. We got to get you on again.
Dude, if I have 3 in the top 10, we got to do another one.
For sure. We'll just come out.
We got to do one. We got to do one. We'll do one that involves beers.
For sure.
There we go.
We'll
maybe we can get them After Midtown guys to do a special guest appearance. And
we can do a live one after all this COVID stuff. We'll come to town and we could just do a big live one somewhere. It'd be a good time.
There you go.
Heck yeah, sounds good. I appreciate y'all having me on here.
Anytime.
For sure, man. We really appreciate it, and we'll make sure that we link all your stuff in our bio. But if anybody's looking for you right away, where can they find you?
Just Instagram, pretty much. That's about the only spot I mess with heavily.
And make sure to go check out his solo stuff because it is so good.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. I got another one coming out soon. We've been working on it during December, and I think it's gonna be a jam, dude. I usually don't say that, but I think this one's gonna be a jam.
Think you got another one in you?
I think I got it. I think I got this one whipped.
Well, man, we really appreciate you jumping on with us, and we'll catch up again for sure. We'll definitely have you back on as things start to rise again. We'll have you on, and we'll make sure that everybody knows about what the next ones are for Hunter Phelps.
Heck yeah. Tell Jake Rose I said what up whenever he gets on here.
I will. We're gonna catch up with him after the first of the year, so it'll be a good time.
Sounds good. I appreciate it, fellas.
Yeah, thanks, man. We appreciate it.
Y'all be good.
See ya.
Later, man.
See ya.